So we mentioned that your show marketing efforts don't just happen at the show, they happen before, during, and after. So you want to make sure that you have thought where you're going to spread those 6 or 7 points of contact throughout that continuum. There's a couple mistakes that are common among new exhibitors and longtime exhibitors too, but um, we want to help you avoid as many as we can. Um, please make sure that when you do a pre-show mailer or a pre-show email, that you remember to have your contact information, your and that includes an address, a phone number, an email, uh, and it should be a proper address. When you send a postcard and it's just a URL, that is not enough. You're a legitimate business. You add to your legitimacy by having full contact info in there. Even if it's a PO box, buyers just feel more comfortable working with someone that represents themselves as a real business. But also, you need to make sure that the show name, the show dates, and your booth number are on everything you send out. Um, if it's a postcard that you have printed in bulk and you use for multiple events, just slap a sticker on there. Make sure you design the back of it with room and just have a white mailing label that's got the info. Some people use our show stickers that are free, and they're just little, like 3-inch square stickers that have the basic show info and a spot for you to write in your booth number. Some people will feel that the expense is worth it to have a custom printed one just for that event. I saw a beautiful one from one of our new exhibitors come through the other day, and it really does stand out. It makes you notice. So that's one thing. Postcards don't have to be expensive. They can, if you shop around, and it does pay to shop around with that. You can do 500 of them for $100, $150, or less. I mean, depends on how you want to do it. Uh, I'll show you you'll get a follow-up email with links to that article, and things that we talk about throughout the presentation that will um, help you with what size to use, the look of the postcard. Um, there's different tricks to how to stand out when buyers are getting 20, 30 postcards a week leading up to a show. A big no-no is emails with broken hyperlinks or poorly uploaded images. Always send yourself a test or 2 or 3 to make sure you've got it right. Look at it in more than one email program. If you have a Gmail account and you have your email running to your local email program like Entourage or Outlook, test it in as many formats as you can, because it's going to be read differently by the computer and look different. Try printing it out. That's one thing that a lot of people don't consider, is what their email looks like forwarded and what their email looks like printed out, which is one reason we don't recommend having all these crazy eye-numbing backgrounds to your email, because if you print it out, it becomes illegible. And then if you do have a personalized invitation, make sure that you get the buyer's name and company right. When you have a database, and it could be a database can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, but if you have a database, make sure that your information is as correct as it possibly can be. On-site marketing, there's a lot of options that you probably have already looked at that were in the exhibitor newsletter. They're on our website. I'll take you there right now, just so you know what it looks like. Oh, by the way, here's the email marketing uh, page. It's got just some tips, and this right here is a free template for you to use. You can take this and plop it right into your Constant Contact or your MailChimp. I do recommend adding your own text to this because email clients will not, they'll just see this as one image. It doesn't know what's in this picture. So you want to make sure that you personalize this in some way, either above or below, so that it knows what it's reading and doesn't view it as spam. And we have suggested text right here that you can use. Here's the exhibitor marketing page. You just go to exhibitors, marketing opportunities, and there's a form you can use, and it lists everything by where it is on that marketing continuum. The pre-show, these are the buyer emails if you want to get an ad in one of our buyer emails. I hope everyone has taken the time to add keywords and descriptions to their eBooth profile. Again, the follow-up email after the webinar will have a video tutorial that walks you through every part of that profile so you know what it's used for. Because the floor plan is fully searchable, the more you put in there, the better descriptive it is, the better your search results. So you want to make sure you're specific because it has search engine optimization. You can even get leads through Google for that. But more specifically, the buyers that are looking and creating their own floor plans, which they can save. They can favorite their artists and then save them in a profile, print out that list by order of booth number, and then walk the show with it. It's a great new tool that we implemented this year, and we really want people to use it because if you're not putting content in there, you're not being seen by buyers. Not just the buyers that come to the show, but the thousands that visit that website every day. On site, we talked about press kits, which are free. There's other ways to get noticed. There's a bag drop, which is we significantly dropped the price of this year. If you want a piece of your postcard or brochure, it doesn't have to be a printed thing. It can be a small little goodie. If you have, the swag we talked about, like a pen or a keychain or whatever, piece of paper, pad of paper, or a CD. If you just want, a virtual catalog, you can put that in the bag too. We also did a pre-show badge mailing that's going out soon to signature retailers, which are about 200 of our mostly our top buyers. It's not qualified in that way where they're not by annual sales volume or anything like that. It's not that kind of criteria. It's just that they've purchased a premium level admission to the show that gets them benefits year round, and then there's a special VIP lounge at the show. And all those stores get a gift tote, so you can participate in that if you want. There's a digital showcase that is on an LCD screen by registration, and that's free to do for one image. So all you have to do is have your image ready, click on the form, upload it, really quick and easy to do. And it just has your company name and a booth number next to your image, and it rotates throughout the day. And then there's sponsorships. Now these are really big tickets, so obviously in a budget, a talk about budget marketing, I'm not going to talk about that. But it's just to show you that the possibilities are endless when it comes to marketing. You really can get as creative as you want to be, and we're happy for you to bounce ideas off of. Just let us know. All right, so let's dive back in. The number one post-show faux pas, not following up. It is mind-boggling to us how people will get postcards or names that they jot down on paper, and then they just let those those contacts die. They just let them drop off the face of the earth. And the business cards or the names that you collect at the show, that is gold. That's why you exhibit. It's not just about getting sales at the show. When you think of it that way, you're thinking just the same as you if you were doing a retail craft festival. Trade show exhibiting is about long-term building of relationships. The leads that you make at a show can come through to a sale days after a show, weeks after a show, months, or even years after a show. All the time we have buyers call us saying, "Oh man, I was at the buyer's market in 2009, and this actually happened 2 weeks ago. Actually, uh, I was at the show in 2009, and I remember these little teapots with birds on them, and they were so great. The artist had this cool booth with, and they remember all these details that had stuck with them because it reached them on a personal level, on an emotional level. It tied in with their business, or there was something about that, just something really that stuck with them. So that's the power of branding. That's something they remembered. Now, they didn't remember the company name, so that's why they call us. So you do want to make sure you consistently have your company name very large and well represented in your booth and in your marketing. But the follow up is essential, and the leads that you get at a show are just as valuable, if not more, than the sales you make at a show. So follow up we mentioned it's absolutely essential, regardless of how well you did or didn't do. If only first time around only made 2-3 sales, which can happen, but less likely to happen if you have a pre-show marketing plan in place and you implement it. The you do want to make sure that you do it, because, as we said, it can come through for you whenever you don't know. The longer you wait to have some kind of follow up, the harder it is. You want to make sure that impression, those 6 to 7 impressions, happen in a given timeline, and it's usually like 12 weeks. Some people have longer ones where they do one 6 months out or 4 months out. That's not as common. Most of the marketing that people do happens about 10 weeks, 8 weeks out from a show. Then again, a couple weeks, 2 weeks or so from a show, and then right before, a couple during, and then within a week or so after the show, and then one longer out. If they didn't place an order within that week to 2 weeks post show, send them something else about a month out, especially if there's a holiday just after. You want to make sure that you tie in with that, and say, I can still do just-in-time orders for Mother's Day. Have that plan for your follow-up done in advance, not only because you want the consistency to be there, but also when you get home from a show, you got to decompress, and then you got to start cranking out all the orders, and it's so much better for you to have that lined up in advance, and even if you're really on top of it, have that scheduled, like the follow-up email, have that pre-scheduled to go out 3 days or 2 days after a show. As soon as that buyer gets back in the office, in the store, and they check their email and they're following up with, tasks that were left for them, boom, it was so nice to meet you, and there's an email from you, and they just remember. And if you send something personal, like a handwritten note for that particularly special connection that you made with a buyer, tie in something you remember. And as you're meeting people, have little notes to yourself about the store or what they carry, or something you remember about their main street or their hometown that you can tie in, and it brings back to the conversation. Just sticks more with that buyer. So how do you know if you're doing this right? How do you know that pre-show marketing works? And I'll admit there is a bit of faith that goes into this. You put it out there, and you don't always know if it works. But one thing you can do is track it with incentives. Incentives are anything from show specials, like free shipping, like throwing in a display piece if you have custom displays that complement your work. And these are things you reward for either minimum orders, first time orders, whatever random number you want somebody to meet in dollar value. It's up to you. It's totally up to you. There's no one right way to do this. Giveaway and swag, we talked about that. Cost a contest or a raffle. This doesn't have to be expensive. Again, it can be. I know one exhibitor that she gave away a week at their family's holiday, their vacation home, their timeshare, which cost her nothing other than sending someone to clean the place up. and she raffled it off, and it was hugely successful. And she got tons of contacts because they filled out a little piece of paper with their contact info and dropped it in a fishbowl. And the winner got to stay at their wonderful Florida Keys house. So get creative. Even something like an iPad, which sounds almost cliche as a giveaway in booth marketing. Not a lot of people do it in our show, and you might say, oh well, an iPad, I can't buy an iPad for somebody. But if you compare that to, say, a full page ad in a magazine, an iPad is significantly less than that. And the amount of the value you get back in the number of traffic and leads that you collect at your booth, it's probably worth $400 or more. We do not recommend that you discount your work as an incentive. The reason being that it's like candy. As soon as buyers get a taste of it, they want it again, they'll ask for it again. And then it puts you in an awkward position where you're like, oh, okay, don't do that. Don't undervalue yourself. Don't undervalue your work. Reward purchases in a different way. You can add value without reducing your income. Lead retrieval is just a fancy word for contact collection. There is a device you can rent from our registration supplier, J Spargo, and it is all the badges this year have barcodes, so you can scan it with the device, or you can download the app. You do have to pay for the app, but you can put it on your iPhone or iPad and scan their badges, and it's instantly put into a little database for you. And for artists in particular, it's great because we really want people to be better about follow-up, and you don't have these little scrap pieces of paper that you lose, or if you're quickly jotting something while you're still looking them in the eye, you may not be able to read that note later. So it can be really handy for staying organized. There's more technology people use in exhibiting. This is still sort of a burgeoning thing for our audience, but I really am a believer in using technology in your marketing, and you want it to complement what you're doing rather than having it just be bells and whistles for bells and whistles sake. You can have video demos. If you have a little laptop or an iPad or tablet showing you at work in the studio, buyers love to see that sort of thing. It personalizes it shows you what your story is, and your craftsmanship. You can, if you have a fairly complicated procedure, or the production of your work, you can sort of break down how you do it, without giving secrets away, obviously, but you can sort of talk them through what it is, why it's special, why your production is your product is so much more quality than, better quality than someone else's. And it's a growing thing in the exhibiting industry overall. QR codes, if you don't know what those are, they're the little they're like little scan codes that are square, and they're not barcodes. They have little squares on them, and I've seen them pop up more and more in the last 2 years in our show. You can put that on anything. You can put it on your postcard. You can put it on your booth. There are a lot of booths that have a banner and they'll put the QR code there, and the buyer walks by, and let's say you're already busy working with somebody, they just put their phone up, scan this little code that's on your booth, and boom, they have an email and a catalog and your contact info instantaneously. So, how do you have a list? As a new exhibitor, you may not have a list. If you've never exhibited wholesale before, or you are not wholesaling currently with anyone, then where do you get this list of galleries? It, Unfortunately, it's just something you have to do one by one. It takes a lot of homework. It is worth every minute you put into it, because the more qualified your list is, less money and time you will waste in your marketing. You want to make sure it's going to the right audience that's most likely to buy your work. You should know something about all these buyers that are on your list. What other work do they carry? What kind of location do they have? Is it in a strip mall, or is it in a affluent neighborhood with a downtown shopping district? Um, you just want to make sure that it ties back to you in some way. There's no point in you spending several dollars mailing to somebody that will never buy your work. It's not that they don't love it, just might not work for their customer or their store. Trade publications are a great resource. They frequently profile top buyers in their industry. In-store is specifically for jewelers. JCK is another one. Retailing Insight used to be New Age Retailer. Uh, Giftware News is just a general gift and deck and accessories magazine. Of course, our trade publication is Niche Magazine. That's specific to craft industry, and they are all attendees and exhibitors get Niche magazines. So you're hitting, by advertising in niche, you're hitting all of the attendees and then some. There are people that just subscribe and are not coming to the show. Consumer lifestyle magazines, you want to look at the sort of the magazines that you find in your hotel room when you go places. They have tons of stores in them. Anytime you're on the road, pick those up from bed and breakfasts or hotel rooms, or some of them are available on newsstands for larger cities. Philadelphia has one, Baltimore has one, Washington, of course, DC has one. Those are great resources for anywhere that specialty retailers are advertising. And then referrals from other artists. I say directly or indirectly because sometimes you have to be a little sneaky about this. You can go to other artists' websites that are wholesaling, and they will have their stores where you can find their work listed. Totally fair game. Don't of course try and usurp the shelf space that artist has. But make sure, if somebody is selling to a store that your work would look great next to, that complements it or that ties into it, if you're cross promoting, like if you make candles and there's a wrought iron candle holder maker, you can maybe buddy up with that person and say, hey, this would be great to display our work together. You can have uh, each other's products in your booth. And then buyers are like, oh, I gotta have that. I gotta have the candle and the candle holder. Are they in the show? And they'll say, yes, they're just down the aisle. So um, things like that, you want to make sure that you've done the research. You know that that buyer kind of needs your work, and then it just becomes easier to sell your product to them. Web research, um, it like I said, it's not fun, but it takes time. It's worth every second you put into it. And then a good way to start is build your most desired stores you want to be into. What are the aspirational stores that you really see yourself being in, if not now, 5 years down the road when you're more established? Have that wish list. It's going to change every year. or every 6 months, but always have that wish list so that you're keeping an eye out for them on the floor. You're touching base with them uh, every couple months, every year, um, and it it's just something you want to do. There's one exhibitor that it took her 3 years to get into one of the top retailers, somebody that wins top retailer frequently, and is just very, everybody knows this buyer's name, and she's like, I gotta get into this gallery, I'm gonna do it, and she just was so relentless, so kept up with it, and eventually the buyer just broke down and said, man, you are so on top of it, you're so consistent, I'm just gonna try it just to shut you up. And it turned out to be perfect for her store because, and the artist knew that. The artist said, you need my work. This is why. And eventually the buyer said, yeah, you're right. Your list should grow organically. Don't just acquire a huge chunk of names from somebody. Make sure you qualify them. Make sure you nurture them over time. It's something you continually do. It's an ongoing process. It happens anytime, any place. When you network at the show after hours, if you go to the happy hour, which I recommend all new exhibitors do, um, you're always making these contacts and building your list. And occasionally you need to go through that list and see if stores are still relevant for you. And obviously if they move or they close or things like that, you make sure your list is current, so you're not wasting money and having things come back to you in the mail. So pull your weeds every once in a while. The general recommendation is about 10% of your overall exhibiting budget should go to marketing. Um, that's just a general recommendation, but you do want to budget for it. That's the important thing. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. Just make sure you're spending that money that you do use on marketing smartly. Make sure that you've thought about who it's going to, why you're sending it, and what you want them to do. Make sure that everything you send out has a call to action. I realize I'm going way over 30 minutes, but if you're still here, I must be saying something you're interested in, so we'll keep going. Oh, and we're at the end. All right, questions, let me have them. We have a lot of them. Okay. Mary asked, do we need to purchase internet for the lead form, the lead retrieval at the show, or is that more for a larger business? Yes, internet is required for the downloaded app. If you have an iPhone or iPad, if it has 3G, you can use that. If you're using the cellular service, that's fine, and it'll work with the internet that way. It can be a little spotty sometimes because keep in mind there's 800 exhibitors, there's thousands of attendees. They're all in this one little space using their cell phones. Sometimes it's not very reliable. So I would recommend the rented device because it's not live to the internet, but it stores them, and then you take it to registration at the end of the show, and they print it out or they put it on a little drive for you, and you can take it home. I think you can also access it online later when you get home. It's stored there for a while. So, but no, there is no Wi-Fi inside the hall. There is outside in the common areas. Some people will get through the firewall inside the hall just for whatever reason they do, and it's just luck. Don't depend on it. Sarah asks, she's a first-time exhibitor. How do you recommend I find stores to add to my mailing list of pre-show mailings, or how do I get a buyer at the show to leave me their contact info? How you get them to leave your contact info can be a little tricky. If you do some kind of specific promotion that requires them to, then obviously that's a way to do it. So if you have a postcard with a special that says, hand in this card for a chance to win something, or stop by my booth and enter for a $100 credit towards your order. Things like that. That you know, ways that they kind of have to fill it out in order to participate according to your contest rules or whatever promotion you're having. That's one way to do it. You can also just sort of keep an eye on badges as they walk by, or just, you know, some people are just, you can be a little more aggressive than that. If you do have a lead retrieval device and somebody walks into your booth, say, start just striking up conversation. Oh, I see that you're from Florida. You know, where is your store on the water? And can I scan your badge? And, you know, to start that, you know, would you like to receive info from me after the show? If they're interested enough to come into your booth, they're probably interested enough to keep tabs on what you're doing later in the year. It's something that comes across a little more naturally with experience. You know, just keep doing it. Okay, so a couple of people just want me to backtrack on the lead retrieval, and I will show you that real quick. So on the exhibitor, you go to the website, AmericanMadeShow.com, exhibitors, exhibitor resource center, or marketing opportunities. And under on-site, ooh, it's not there. I have to put that up there. It is somewhere though. No, it was in the email that just went out. So thank you for bringing that up. I will put it on there today. And it will be most definitely in the email that is going out. Okay, here we go. So under Exhibitor Resource Center, lead retrieval device, it's a PDF download, and it's an order form that you send in. Again, it's done through our registration company. You can call them with any questions. And it is just a quick form that you send out. If you want to do just sort of old school, have a guest book. You can also just have a printed guest book if you don't want to deal with the techie aspect of it. That's fine. Okay, and Mary wanted to know about the QR code. What does it mean? Where can I find it? I'll show you an example. This is what it looks like. It's just a bunch of like QB splatter that that means information. If you download an app for free to your phone, and then your phone, you take a picture of it, and it will link you to a website where you can see whatever you want them to see. Download a form, get an email, whatever. There's various, if you see generator came up, there's various sites you can use that will create a code for you for free. And you can use them for inventory too. We actually have used these in the past for storing items in the show. In Lockup, you can use that for checking in things. It's just kind of neat. It's like your own little product scanner. And how is a digital? Sharon asked, "How is a digital showcase image submitted?" That is, sorry, that is under marketing opportunities, and just click on the marketing form. So here's the form where you can sign up for whatever it is that you're interested in. And the digital showcase is free for your first image. So you just click that. You do have to fill out your company name, booth number, and agree to the terms so we know who you are. And then just upload your image. Real easy. Hit submit. Takes just a second. You don't want a huge image, but you also don't want this tiny, tiny little thing that's from the internet too. Make sure you have something that's a good size, about a megabyte, so it shows up nice when it's on a big screen. I think it's a 52-inch LCD monitor. Is how big it is. And Kristen asks, is there a list of attendees? I have a potential list of galleries, but I don't know if they're going to the show. Is it appropriate to send them a mailing, or is that a waste of time? It is not a waste of time at all. As we mentioned, show marketing is a collaborative effort. The show sends thousands upon thousands of things out to buyers that are going to the show, that aren't going to the show, that went to the show in the past. You should be doing the same thing, because it's good for the community as a whole. Every artist that attracts their own few buyers, that buyer is also buying from other people on the floor. It's a communal thing. You know, do it for the good of everybody. And we don't actually have a list that we give out. That is somewhat unusual for our industry, but it's just a privacy practice that it's a policy we have kept over the years, where we don't give out our list. Just like I don't give out exhibitor lists to suppliers, or other than ones that we have to use for the show, obviously. So Hargrove will contact you. They have your info. The registration company will, but I don't just give exhibitor information to somebody who sells banners or whatever just because I want to, or because I made money on it. I mean, we respect your privacy. Buyers appreciate that as well. So if you do the research yourself, that's really the better way to do it. If I hand you a list of 20,000 people from our database, it means nothing to you, and you're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money wasted on all these stores that, you know, maybe 90% of them are not going to buy your work because it doesn't apply to them. So doing the homework, that's what I mean, where every second you spend on that is worth it. Okay. I think that is plenty of time today. We're at an hour mark. I'm sorry I went over, but I hope that it was helpful for you. And you'll get a follow-up email with the links and some other resources that we talked about in the presentation. That'll go out in about 2 days. So expect to get that by Saturday morning or so. Everyone have a wonderful week, and I look forward to meeting you all in Philadelphia. Take care.